Cheers.
As the saying goes, we're back for maybe 5 minutes or 10. We'll see. Hopefully not too much. Jonathan.
I'll try to make
You
it
get two.
brief. I just wanted to make sure I
you get two
understood.
questions.
One of the things you said there would be no bonding request from the town for this year.
Correct.
That's terrific.
That was an easy question.
The other question I wanted to ask you is that I did try to email the Board of Selectmen's office about the capital plan, maybe about a week or two ago. And I was wondering, are you able to reply to that in any kind of way? I know you want to make sure you have a quorum, but I think I had a series of questions about capital.
I didn't see those questions, and
Are they the questions you sent
Yeah, it was in the form of an email.
and copied us in?
Yeah.
That we.
So the one to the Board of Education, not to the...
Yeah, there was another one for
There
the
was-
Board
that-
of Selectmen earlier.
If I remember correctly, that was
Never got it.
December.
Yeah, it was quite a while ago.
And I had replied to it to cover some of that,
But I
it
was
wasn't
looking for a reply from the Board of Selectmen.
understood. Now
Yeah.
let the that was what came out. It was 2 months ago. Yeah, your memory maybe thinks it's like 2 or 3 weeks, but it was a little while ago because
Yeah, it was
I had brought it up at the
several
last
weeks
meeting.
ago.
Yeah, because I brought it up at the last meeting that you had questions and they would be hopefully addressed during presentations and workshops and discussions. So.
as I recall, there was an email chain where someone suggested that there was a more appropriate way to have those questions asked as opposed to sending emails, as I recall.
That was the
but
email.
But that was in December, wasn't it?
I thought some of them weren't answered in the workshops too.
Yes.
We went over some of them in the workshops.
Well, yeah, I know that you did ask some of the.
So I'm curious, do you want me to formalize those questions in some way, where it is more palatable?
Yeah, yes, and we'll address them at the hearing if you'd like.
Just wait till the hearing?
Well, no,
I was trying to get ahead of the hearing.
I will tell you this, if they are straight answers, if they are about data, they are about something that is in fact easily answered. If you're asking for what would the Board of Selectmen do or how will the Board of Selectmen act on something, I cannot speculate on that until such time as the board agrees and does it themselves. So
Okay.
if what you're looking for are if you're at your suggestions, or would you consider that, or would you implement that? I don't think we can give you an answer on that. Other than
All right, if they're along those lines, I understand.
Yeah, other than we would take it under consideration. Is that fair, Charlie?
And then, likewise, I kind of want to digest this new budget changes and maybe pose some questions to you as well.
Absolutely.
Is email okay format? I've
Yes.
been copying off
Email
board in your
is
board.
fine.
Okay.
Email is fine. You have my new email address, because Karen and I have not seen anything. It didn't come in on the town website, and not to my.
All right, I'll dig it up. I'll resend it out.
You have.
But I was just curious. It got a little bit lost in space, I suppose.
If I could, just real quick, I think what your comment is a good one based on when questions are put in writing. Maybe in a way I maybe shouldn't have responded to it. I did it just to try to answer some of the quick questions I knew from history.
Right.
But that goes, I think, to the Board of Ed as well, because anybody who responds on behalf on an email is not responding on behalf of the Board of Ed, the superintendent, they're responding on behalf of themselves and can't speak for it. So I think there's a danger in sending out an email and expecting an email response from anybody. And though I did it, and I'll be very transparent, the fact that I did.
In fairness, though, this question came
Yeah,
up
you
several
responded.
times that we could email questions to the board.
You-
As a matter of fact, it's said almost at the end
You
of every
certainly can,
meeting.
but I think you can't respond on behalf of.
What-
And so that's just, it's a very good point I want to make, because that may be why you're not going to get, or you don't get anything, or haven't gotten anything from the Board of Ed yet, because none of them wants to respond based on behalf of.
Right.
They could say that you want to call me and have a discussion about it. I could tell you what I know and what my individual opinion is, or
Right.
but to respond on behalf of and that's something I will leave to.
There is another challenge,
Yeah.
and that relates to conducting business as a board without posting a meeting. An email that has everybody on it, in some cases, and I know Sue went to a recent FOI workshop. You need to be very careful about what gets discussed, and if decisions are made. If it's informational only, that's one thing. But if it's at all reflective of impacting policy or a decision, now you've got a different can of worms to worry about.
Well, I don't
And
think-
FOI comes into play.
Would you care to comment on the fund balance?
It's in pretty good shape.
I know that. Is that an inviolate area?
No, it is not an inviolate area, but it is an inviolate area, as far as I'm concerned, to balance an operating budget. You and I have served on this board, had served on this board long enough to know what kind of problems that can lead to. I know there was for 20 years before you and I were even on the board, it was traditional to use fund balance because they always anticipated a surplus out of the previous year's budget, and they would be able to roll that forward year over year. That caught us about, I believe when Carl was here earlier, that caught us after a while because we started to do some things that were smart. We started to actually use an estimated amount for the supplemental motor vehicle tax, which we never included in our revenue estimates. We used to be conservative, and my good friend Joe Mazza would tell you this. We used to be conservative in estimating interest income back in the day when the town was earning $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 in interest income, not $70,000 or $80,000 today. So there was a long-standing tradition in this town that you did those things and you created surpluses by doing that. And then those monies were used to offset the next year's operating budget. Once we started to tighten down our revenue estimates, we lost the capacity to do that. However, today and I think for the last how many years, Charlie? I know through. I think it was it was a bipartisan effort that got together at the Adams Band Room, and we sat there and said, all done. We bit the bullet 1 year, and we haven't used those monies
prior to high school.
Right. We haven't used unassigned fund balance for operating budget. There is a strong argument to be made for using it for other purposes, some very specific and substantial purposes. And I'll be making some of those cases to you.
Okay.
Anybody else? Thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure to address the Board of Finance. And
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done.
Very well done.
Okay. So, moving on, number 8, committee reports. I don't believe we have any.
I don't think so.
Not this time. Number 9, old business. I don't have any old business. New business?
It would be a good idea to lay out the schedule of what comes.
Oh, I was going to do that after public forum. Yeah. And with that, public forum? Come on up. Prefer to get you on camera.
In the budget presentation under, I think, the salaries and...
Get his name.
I think
You say Tom. Tom, why don't you come on up?
Come on up and
And
Pull off a chair, Tom.
please remember to identify yourself.
Okay, thank you. In the presentation on the town side,
Your name?
Thomas Cost, Durham Road in North Guilford.
thank you.
There was one slide that was talking about salaries, and there was the last line that was other, and it was $333,000.
Not our curiosity.
Other local?
Yeah, other local maybe, it was $333,000. It was almost,
It's in benefits.
I think it's
Employee
three
benefits.
Employee
Is
benefits.
this one?
It's page 11.
yes. The last line is actually 10% increase. That's $333,000. And I'd just kind of like to know what other is.
We get
It's on the employee benefits.
under employee benefits.
It's reserved for personnel. And I will not tell you how much is reserved for personnel, because that will tip our hand in negotiations.
Understood.
Okay.
So you said the majority, you said a portion of
A
some-
substantial
You
portion
did say
of
substantial.
that is related to employee contract negotiations.
which still need to happen in this year.
Where we reserve money in the anticipation that those contracts will be settled, and there will be increases to those salaries.
Okay.
But there's about 8 different line items that make up that number.
Okay.
That was it. I just kind of don't like other in a budget.
Other and miscellaneous, right?
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Yep.
We had public forum. Anybody else want to address us in
Hey.
public forum? Thank you, Tom.
First in a long time.
Yeah.
But you know, we should not give the impression that we don't have public forum. In our packet were several meeting minutes relative to the Board of Education and also the town side, where they had public hearings and heard from, I have to say, they must have had at least 40 or 50 people who talked about the music teachers and talked about art being important and the school start time. So people do come out, and we heard about public hearings over the Greenway Trail and the sidewalk issues. So, I mean, just because we don't have public forum in this kind of a setting, I think it's important to note that people are engaged and they are coming out.
I agree. And definitely my point is that we do have public forum at the beginning and end. It is just, it's a nice surprise when we do get
When
somebody.
we do get one.
Yeah. Last call. All right. Never mind. I do want to just mention the next meetings for the viewing audience, because these are the big meetings that we have that to do with the budget. You heard the presentations. On Tuesday, March 6th at 7:30 p.m. in the big room downstairs, as some people like to call it, will be the actual public hearing on the budget. And I would recommend that that's the best chance that everyone has for public input. That's when you're going to hear the presentations again, and you can come up and you can ask whatever questions, because everyone is there that crafted these budgets. On Thursday, March 8th at 7:30, the Board of Finance will have a workshop to discuss the budget. And we'll ask questions as well, have discussion. And it is usually the case that we will act on moving forward the budget to the annual budget meeting. If that should not happen, there will be another meeting, and we'll do this again on a workshop on Monday, March 12th, same time, same place. And we will discuss the budget again until we move it forward. We don't leave until then. I don't think we very rarely have used Monday, although we have, and I don't ever remember going past 8 o'clock or 8:30 on that second night if we have to go there. So I do know that I believe the Tuesday, April 3rd at 7:30 is the annual budget meeting. That would then move the budget to referendum. I know it was questioned as far as the date. Do we have that date yet? Is it April 10th?
April 10th is what I have.
That's what's in our, it had a tentative question mark, and maybe we got an updated form, but I just want to make sure that if I said the date, I
Is
believe
that a
it's the
firm
week
date?
after, it was a week after the budget,
The annual meeting.
annual meeting, yeah.
April 10th, Mike.
April 10th.
April 10th is set.
Okay,
The Board of Selectmen will officially set that date.
okay,
So,
but that's the date right now okay. So, March 6th, March 8th, March 12th if needed, April 3rd, April 10th vote, if you're writing it down. Okay. Anything else in public forum? No? With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second. So
Yep. Okay, got a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.